Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Toni Carroll, and I am the South Carolina State Manager and Chief Training Officer here at Security Title of Baltimore. And with me today is Ted Rogers, President of Security Title, and we're going to chat about our time on Capitol Hill last month. Welcome, Ted.
Good morning, or good afternoon, everybody. Glad you could join us. Thank you. It's an important topic, and we're pleased that you're able to join with us today.
So before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items. You guys are in listen-only mode, but feel free to ask questions. If you look at your GoToWebinar panel, you're going to see a questions box. So you can put your questions there, and we'll address those at the end of the presentation. Thank you all for joining us. And Ted and I went to ALTA Advocacy Summit last month. It was held in Washington, D.C., and we met with members of Congress to discuss several issues that could adversely affect our industry. And we'd like to share our experience with you today. You'll also find some supporting documentations under the handout section of the GoToWebinar panel. So if you see that on the right, you can download those documents and hold on to those. We'll be referencing those as we go through the presentation.
Well, Toni, I'd just like to say that the Advocacy Summit this year was very well attended, I thought, considering the economy. And there were several hundred people from across the country. They were all there to learn, to network, and to meet with their congressmen to help push along issues that are important to our industry. So I thank you for being there and helping in that effort.
For sure, these are really important to our industry. And for me, there's like nothing like going and being on Capitol Hill with all of our industry colleagues and sharing with policymakers, the importance of our role in the industry. For the largest purchase an American will make. Like you said, there was over 200 people at the ALTA conference from 40 different states chatting on Capitol Hill. I don't know about you, Ted, but it's one of my favorite conferences to go to.
No question, no question. Everybody is very engaged and very interested in all the events that are going on.
So today, just a little bit of the agenda for today. We're going to do a quick overview of the housing market that we took away from the summit, and these, in addition to the issues, what our asks of Congress were, how you guys can help support our industry as well, and then we'll take any questions you may have. As I mentioned, just put it in the questions box there. So let's jump into what we learned about the housing market. I know this is not new to anybody, but there's a housing shortage, which can vary from market to market. You may see it a little bit different in your market compared to ours. I was at Advocacy representing North Carolina, and one of the things that was mentioned in a whole, there's typically 250 houses for sale for every 10,000. That's in a normal market, if there's something called a normal market. But today there's only 119 for every 10,000, which is down quite a bit. Ted, we're seeing a lot of people compare the current market to 2008. What are you seeing?
Well, I don't think it's at all similar to 2008. 2008 was a completely different set of circumstances. There was a lot of speculative home buying with people who are not very financially solvent, a lot of liar loans, and today, with lenders having much higher standards for giving loans, we're not going to see the kind of foreclosure issues that we had back then. But I also think that the housing shortage is going to continue for a while. I mean, people are definitely rate locked. They don't want to leave at 3% to buy into a 6%. Home prices are not coming down yet. So until they start to trend down and until mortgage interest rates start to trend down, things are probably going to remain slow for a while. But once we hit around 5%, I think we're all going to be busy with refinances again, and that will start to free up the purchase home market. So things will certainly turn around as they always do.
Yeah, we are in that industry. This is a roller coaster, right? We're up, we're down, we're up or down. I think some of the other things too is unemployment was a lot different in 2008 than it is today. Right now it's about 3%, according to the Department of Labor. 2008 it was at 5.78. The rapid increase in prices from COVID, created an increase in equity in houses. So that's also taken into account, as well as, for forbearance is super low, less than 5%, and mortgage debt is historically low too. With all of that said, do you think we'll see an uptick in foreclosures?
Oh, I definitely think there's going to be an uptick, but it's not going to, again, it's not going to be like 2008. I mean, with inflation increasing, people are starting to have to stretch their paychecks. So there are going to be some people who are unfortunately not going to be able to maintain their home, but it's just not going to be a significant uptick. At least not in my opinion. So knock on wood.
Right. Nobody has a crystal ball. Like if somebody did,
sure.
they would probably be very wealthy right now. You mentioned the interest rates. We're at 6.7. I think it's 6.78 is what I saw the average today. That's normal though. We were in some unprecedented times of those low interest rates. I mean, my parents had 17, 18%. So I think what people need to realize too, that this is normal.
Yes, yeah, and people will start to recognize it as normal. I think we'll start to come down from where we are, but people will get used to this, and everybody eventually moves. So it'll start to loosen up eventually.
So let's get into some of the things that were, there goes that link,
Yep.
we were talking to Congress about. The first one was the Secure Notarization Act. This is a subject I'm very passionate about, but if you have not heard about Ron, and I'm not talking about Ron from Parks and Rec, this is remote online notarization in our world of acronyms. I'm very passionate about this subject because I really feel like that it can change our industry. We're doing everything digitally in a transaction today. They're signing their mortgage commitment, they're signing the real estate contract, they're signing all those things digitally. And then we get to the closing and it just comes to a complete stop. We've got 44 states that have passed, including DC, that have passed remote online notarization laws. And one of the things we asked is about the Secure Notarization Act. S1212 is what it is. And this is just going to create a standardization within RON. So we have 44 states passed with their own requirements, but this bill will permit immediate nationwide use of RON. It will create minimum standards for use while complementing any of the existing state laws. So the House has passed it, and we were asking for the Senate to support that as well. I'd love to see our agents. I'm sorry?
Do you know the status of it? I did not have a chance to, whether it's come up for a hearing yet or not.
I haven't heard yet that it's actually come up, so fingers crossed.
Yes. This will help to bring RON, I think, a little bit more into the public eye, and its adoption a little bit will happen a little bit faster. Of course, a large part of the hang-up is getting the GSEs to accept electronically signed documents. Once that happens, the floodgates, I think, are largely going to open. So hopefully you're preparing for it, conducting RON transactions on the seller side at least, because this is something that will start to impact our industry in the coming years.
And I think our agents can also be forward thinking. I hear a lot that nobody's asking for it. I just don't think people realize that is an option out there. So if you talk about this early in a transaction, let the sellers know, hey, you don't have to drive to our office, sit in traffic, pay high gas prices, waste paper. You can do this all from the comfort of your home, and just let them know it's an option, for those, like you said, seller docs and cash sales.
And what's interesting is that the group you would think would be most interested in this, the younger generation, first-time home buyers, actually want to have the face-to-face closing experience. But people who have been through the process before, who know it's not that much fun, tend to prefer, especially on refinances, to have a RON closing. Or as Toni said, on the seller side, if they're selling their home, they really don't want to have to be hassled with driving into a different location and taking time out of their day. So again, it is something that is coming.
Yeah, I mean, nobody asked for Amazon yet. That's the first thing I do if I need something. Well, let's talk about one of the other things, and here we have another acronym, our attorney opinion letter. Attorney opinion letter, Fannie and Freddie are now accepting written AOLs in lieu of title insurance. under limited circumstances, and this is as a result of the equity housing finance plans, right? They're trying to reduce the cost to the consumer on a transaction. It's not definitely in the best interest of our consumers or our lenders. You know, as we know, a title insurance policy protects a buyer and lenders against title defects or claims that may arise during the real estate transaction. However, an attorney opinion just provides the legal advice and is limited in scope and does not provide a guarantee or assurance of the property's title. So I feel like this is something we definitely need to talk about.
Well, you know, the AOLs that we're talking about today are not quite the same as we're used to, at least used to before title insurance became so prominent. This is a product where they refer to it as having an E&O insurance wrapper. It's not your E&O policy that covers all risks that you undertake, but for that particular transaction, and it's issued as part of the attorney opinion. And it is a product that's being pushed by a couple of different companies. So it isn't something that's just going to sit on the side. They are trying to get Fannie and Freddie to accept it and have it in a larger part of their portfolio. Now, last year, only 49 transactions were covered by an attorney opinion letter. So it is a slow start, but that doesn't mean that it isn't something that we need to deal with.
And didn't Security Title, way back in the day, they were doing attorney opinions and saw the need for title insurance?
Oh, sure. That's what we grew out of. My grandfather saw the expansion of population moving into other parts of the country after World War II, lenders moving into new markets where they didn't know the local attorneys. And so title insurance provided a standardized product that was backed by larger companies that were highly regulated. And so that we took off from there.
And here we are 70 years later.
70 years later.
Or are we 71? 71?
71 now. Who's counting?
Well, no acronym here, but another thing that is, you know, we were there to talk about is the waiver, Fannie Mae's title waiver program. And they're considering this program to provide a waiver of title insurance on certain transactions, which would then Fannie would take on the risk and oversee any future claims, acting as the primary market insurer. This is kind of scary, Ted.
This is very scary. And the attorney opinion letter is one thing. That is a product that is going to try and compete with us. But this pilot program is an effort to eliminate essentially title insurance as a closing cost in order to reduce closing costs at you know when you buy a home. Unfortunately, I don't think that sufficient buyers are aware of the protections that we offer. And so if the lender doesn't require title insurance, when the owner is faced with the potential of having to pay $1,000, $2,000 for owners only coverage, a large number of them are probably going to elect not to purchase it. So this is a program that is of great significance to our industry, of great concern to our industry, and something that we really need to fight. ALTA is out front trying to get Congress to bring Fannie Mae back within its charter. There is certainly concern with it essentially becoming an insurer itself. If we're not insuring it, then who is? Well, Fannie Mae is proposing essentially to self-insure. And so we all really need to get on the bandwagon and push back against this effort.
Totally agree. We're going to talk about some of our talking points too with Congress. So I live in North Carolina, and I was representing North and South Carolina and talking to the members of conference there. And we asked for the title waiver to be halted. You know, we don't want this at all. We want this program to be halted. We also asked for all future pilots to be open to public comment. So that was one of the things. The co-sponsor of the legislation being drafted by Kennedy of Louisiana to codify the GSE's requirements of title insurance, and to co-sponsor the Secure Notarization Act that we talked about earlier, S1212. So these were the things that we were asking Congress while we were on the Hill. And then I'm going to jump in and we can talk about some of those things that we discussed directly with Congress. Did you have anything to add here?
Not really. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend. My back was out and there was no way I was going to be walking the halls of Congress all day. So I opted out for that day, unfortunately. But usually I try to attend, and I find it to be very valuable.
For sure. Yes, I know that would be a lot of walking for a day.
Yes.
So, as I mentioned earlier, the reason for this was, to help with affordable housing. But so what we talked to Congress about, title insurance is a one-time cost, and it's less than 1% of the closing costs. I would say, we don't do a good enough job referencing that and letting them know what the value of title insurance is. So we really tried to focus on that while we were visiting with our members of Congress, how we make consumers whole based on when a claim arose. So that was telling the stories about what's going on and how we do support our industry. I mentioned a conversation or a recent transaction that I had, my daughter had. She bought a house, it came out of tax sale, and the title insurance company insured over that, so that if somebody does come back and try to claim an interest, the title insurance company is going to make them whole because they insured over it. So we were telling stories like this about where the benefits of title insurance are. Do you have any good stories to share?
No. Well, I do have a few, but certainly over the years we've had some interesting claims, but none that I'm going to bore the audience with today. But the job impact, your last talking point on there, again, this has significant risk to our industry. And if it's successful, which it inevitably will be in the first couple of years, because claims take a couple years to come around and start to become a problem. Fannie Mae was going to start expanding the program further and further. Of course, eventually one day they're going to realize that maybe it wasn't such a good move, but by then it'll be too late. So as far as our industry is concerned, this is really an issue that we need to get on top of.
I totally agree. It's also the largest purchase that a home buyer is going to make, essentially, and they want it to be protected, and title insurance is going to do that for them.
Right.
So you mentioned the job impact. I've got some stats that I got from ALTA that I wanted to share here. So our industry employs about 108,000 professionals with offices nationwide, and that can be affected by these items being put into place. We also help collect $4.8 billion in back income taxes. That's a significant value to Congress. And we've also helped recover approximately $325 million in child support. These are pretty large numbers. So we're not just, they're not just small numbers. These are things that really kind of impact the industry as well as the government.
Well, it's also been suggested in the past, it's been a little while since I looked at statistic, but that title insurance helps to lower interest rates by about 0.5% because of the protection that it does provide. Because people know that the title is going to be guaranteed, they feel more comfortable lending at a lower rate than they would otherwise. So, they're going to steal from our pocket to line their own with increased interest rates, unfortunately.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's a fun fact. Well, thank you. So some of the other things we discussed is, just how our industry is highly regulated, and the GSEs won't be able to meet the requirements of the private sector that we have in place. We also have reserves to make consumers whole in the event of a claim. What is the average reserve that we need to keep as far as security title goes?
We set aside 8% of every premium dollar in the reserve. Other companies just put aside 25 cents for every $1,000. There's different formulas, but as far as we're concerned, it's 8% of the gross premium. We hold that for a total of 20 years, drawing it down over that period at an incremental rate.
So, and that's not something that Fannie or
They will not have that money available in the event of a loss. That's correct.
Also, Fannie and Freddie have been conservatorship since 2008. So they're kind of acting outside of their lane and outside of their charter. So this is also very concerning that they're not getting any public feedback on any of this. They're just kind of going ahead and doing this.
Right. It's certainly increasing their risk, and that's something that they should not be doing.
And they're not set up to do this type of service. You know, the waiver requirements are based on some kind of algorithm, and that's not been defined, and we haven't seen any data on cost savings for that.
Well, the interesting thing with it is that they're looking at only making this program available if the person is able to put down 20%, and that is one of the largest hurdles for people to get over. And if they are able to put down 20%, well, then they probably don't need the savings quite as much as the low-income people that they're trying to benefit, who you know, maybe putting down 10% or less. So it may be well intended, but it is not going to achieve its desired result, I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree. And also just the impact that it can have. It can be significant to the lenders and the consumers, risking the accuracy and integrity of a transaction. Consumers also may not be aware that this option is being waived. You know, one of the things that were brought up at advocacy was, is notice going to be given to the consumer that what they're waiving and what it is they're waiving and what protections they're going to lose because of it. So that's pretty significant as well.
Sorry about the lights, folks. Saving energy.
There you go. So these are all, you know, our talking points that we were talking to Congress about, and these are all talking points you guys can use and how you can help. And that's what we're going to talk about next, is how you can help. But first, I have a little photo gallery of our time spent on the Hill here. Just some fun little pictures. It wound up being a beautiful day. So as I said, I was representing North and South Carolina. So these are the folks that we were on the Hill with. But how can our agents help? You know, the first thing that you can reach out to your local members of Congress and share the benefits of title insurance.
Yeah, you don't have to go to DC. Your congressmen always head home various points during the year, and they love to meet their constituents. So please do try and make an effort to reach out to your members of Congress. Absolutely,
absolutely. There's also several other avenues that they can help with as well. There's the Title Action Network. This is it's just super easy, free membership to sign up. This can be done, you can see the website there, it's alta.org. All of this information also can be found on the ALTA website. You can go there, you can sign up, you'll get notices about different regulations coming up in our industry. They'll provide you with a template that you can just click and it'll send off to your local congressman with all the talking points, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. So I said it's free to sign up. It only takes a few minutes. You'll receive those notifications, and the address here is on the screen. So super easy and easy ask. Yes, yeah. Please do join TAN if you're not already a member. It does help us to keep in touch with and to make Congress aware of our concerns. And then we also have TIPAC. Again, back to our acronyms here. So it's the Title Industry Political Action Committee, and this raises money to help elect and re-elect candidates to Congress who understand our issues. We were out there meeting with some of the staff members just to talk about what title insurance is. We don't always get to meet with members. It's always fun when we do. But we were just kind of educated, and they were very interested in hearing, and there's a little contention there with the DSCs as well. So they were very eager to learn what was going on and take that information in. I've got a lot of responses back. I've been lobbying on the Hill for over 10 years, and I haven't received the responses that I see based on these topics. So consider. Sorry, you say you've contributed this year? I did. I did a nice contribution at the Advocacy Summit. Good job. Yes, please, if you are able to, please consider a contribution to TIPAC. I know things are a little tight right now for all of us. Business is slow, but really the issues that we're facing are critical. TIPAC needs your dollars to help us get members of Congress to support our views. It really helps them to open up doors and to
allow us to get our voices heard. So if you're able to, please make a contribution of any amount.
And you participate in this committee as well, so it is a passionate subject for us all.
Yes. But first join TAN.
Yes, that's great thing to do. The other ways that you can help is come join us next year. Hopefully Ted's back will be better and we'll all be able to lobby on the Hill. It's going to take place on May 8th to the 10th in Washington, and I'm telling you, it just is really my favorite conference to go to. And also, if you are not getting updates from ALTA, go to their website and you can sign up for those email notifications. Diane Toms is very good about sending out updates about what's going on with the unregulated title insurance and any other issues that are coming up in our industry. So that all can be found at the ALTA website. So let's talk a little bit about what's happened since we were at ALTA Advocacy. So, you know, we are there. That's what these industries do, the TIPAC and the TAN. We're constantly getting in touch with Congress, talking to them about these issues. And the FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, has proposed a rule to formalize some of the existing practices to provide increased public awareness of what's going on and greater insight. You can submit comments if you want to read through the ruling. Again, it is all on the ALTA website, and you can put your comments in up until June 26th. So with that all being said, we're going to open up the floor. Did I have the wrong dates in there? No, I do have the wrong dates in there. Somebody just said we had the wrong dates. I'll get those correct dates in there. That was last year's. Not sure how that happened. Thank you. But we'll show that back out to you. We're just seeing if you're on your toes, that's all. But yeah, we will open up to any questions you may have. So thank you, Stephanie, on that. We do have one question in regards to the pilot waiver program. Is a program for both lenders and owners policy. Also, are basis points going to be tacked off on the loan? So this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is strictly for the lender's policy is what we're talking about.
This is just for the lender. It will no longer be required that title insurance be a part of the lender's package for it to be sold to the GSEs. But the problem is, if the lender doesn't require title insurance, you know, that, let's say the lender's policy costs, the total premium is $2,000. The lender's premium is $1,500. So currently the owner is paying $500 to get owner's coverage. Well, you eliminate the requirement for the loan policy and all of a sudden the owner's looking at paying $2,000 for owner's coverage. And that is a disincentive to them to purchasing the policy because typically they don't understand the coverage that we're providing. And they're trying to save money wherever they can at the closing. So having title insurance as a requirement of lender's closing package is critical to our well-being.
Yeah, great. Stephanie has a question here. Would the lender still want to search and try to hold us responsible for issues even though they didn't purchase a policy? No, we would, yeah.
That's a very good point. They're always looking for someone to carry the bag when things go bad. So yes.
Yeah, and again, the attorney opinion is only an opinion, and my understanding in some states it's only valid for a year. So yeah, there's a lot of concerns based on these rulings. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. We have one more minute here. If you guys don't forget to download those handouts. So at this time, we're approaching the end of our time here, and my apologies if we didn't address any of your questions, but please feel free to contact me or Ted or your title rep, your state manager if you have any questions. We appreciate you joining us today, and join us next month. We're going to have Rhino on board to talk about how their services can streamline your reconciliation process. That's going to take place on Thursday, July 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern time or 1 p.m. Central time. So we hope to see everybody here next month. Thanks all for joining today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And thanks for signing up for TAN.
And contributing to TIPAC.
Thanks, Ted.
See ya.